Welcome to the Art Lady channel. Today's lesson is on sea turtles, and we're going to be doing a sea turtle with lots of pattern, and we're also going to be putting texture on the sea turtle. The shell will be filled with pattern, and the bodies of the sea turtle, the softer parts of him, his legs, his head, they will have texture. And texture is how something feels, whether it be bumpy or smooth or rough. We want to get that kind of scaly feel of the turtle's appendages, the arms, the legs, the head. That's what we want to do. So I want you to be thinking about, while I'm showing you how to paint this sea turtle, what kind of patterning are you going to be using? And I also want you to be thinking about, while we're watching the video, what color are you going to make your sea turtle? Let me show you some examples done by some 9 and 10-year-old students, which are about 5th grade, what they did. This student chose to do blue family for the bodies, and then lots of different yellow and yellow-green and blue patterning in his shell. So look at the different patternings they chose. Here's an interesting combination with a purple shell. You can use your imagination. It does not have to be a realistic turtle. That's why it's so fun to do something like this, because anything can go. You can invent your own turtle. Isn't that cool? Look at these great dots and patternings, and I'm going to show you how to do all of this. Here's another example done by a 5th grade student, and this student chose to just do the texturing on one side for here to show. It's almost like it's a shadow, or almost three-dimensional. And look at the gorgeous patterning in that shell. Amazing. They demonstrated brush control. And that's another thing that we're going to be working on, is brush control. I want you to be able to show me that you can control that brush. That's a nice bright one. Here's one with loads of really cool, kind of like a concentric circle almost, or concentric ovals, circles inside circles for shells. That's another way of making your shell. This student, after they painted a base coat, they did a spiral around their shell. And then we have this rainbow kind of shell here, again with those concentric circles or concentric shapes inside each other. And that's a shape inside a shape. Let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to show you how quick and easy it is to paint the basic shape of your turtle, and then you can add your own patterns and textures. We first start off with our piece of paper, and you can do any size paper. I'm using an 8x8 square, but you can have a huge sea turtle, depending on how big you have your paper. But I do start off first with the center, and I'm going to do pink values for my turtle, go right in the middle and place a dot. From there, I'm going to put a diagonal line, because I want my sea turtle, if you look here, to be on its diagonal, right here on the page. I don't want it to be like this, just vertical, but that's up to you how you want to make it. But for us, I want it to be a diagonal. So then I'm going to just simply draw a diagonal. Now notice, I did not come to the end of the page, and I did not touch the page at the top up here. I left plenty of room, at least a hand space, because you need to leave room for the head of your sea turtle and your tail if you want to have a tail that shows. Then I'm going to do a rainbow arch, so I basically just give myself a limit that's equal. And these are guidelines that artists use. And then I just simply curve, and I'm drawing with the brush. Curve. Notice I'm holding the brush down near the metal. If you hold it straight up like a soldier, you get a nice clean line. I kind of tip mine down so you can see, but if I hold it straight up, you get a beautiful line. You can draw with these brushes. And I'm using a flat, wide brush first, because we have a lot to paint in. And then I'm just going to simply fill in the sea turtle by going back and forth smooth. That's why I use a wide flat brush for this part. Fill it in smooth right here. And then I'm going to work on another color after it's filled in. So you want to make sure your shell is smooth and a nice even edge to this. And I'm going very quickly because I don't want this video to be a long video, and I want you to be able to get started on painting right away. So you make it nice and perfect on your edges. Then I'm going to switch to a little bit smaller brush, and I'm going to go into another value color. Now, you don't have another value or another color. You don't have to stick with the same color family like these kids did with their turtles and shells, but I do want the body of the turtle to be a different color or a different value. And the value is the same color but different lightnesses and darknesses. So, for example, if I'm doing pink, I'm going to do, for me today, I'm going to do a dark red. So this is the same value, the same color family as pink, but just a different value. So you're going to start off with a line, a straight line coming out in the center of that curve, and then a smaller line down at the bottom. Then I'm going to round the top, and I have the kids draw first a circle here, a smaller circle, and then we fill in, draw, remember, with the tip of your brush, and then fill in and fill in for the neck. And depends on how much you want your head to stick out. And then I connect this slowly to the head. Connect it slowly to the head. It kind of forms a light bulb shape. And then get your edges nice and neat and clean and fill in smooth. Now for the tail, if you want the tail to show, it's just a sharp little tiny V shape. Draw with the tip of your brush. If you hold your palm and rest it on your hand, you can get tiny, skinny lines. Now, arms and legs, they're going to come out probably a little bit of a distance past this curve, right where the shell starts to kind of get a little bit wider here, or a longer line, oval. I'm going to put a little line here for the leg where it's going to come out and match on the other side. This is my guideline. Now I'm going to come out and curve it toward the head. This is going to form a banana shape. Jump over as wide as you want your turtle's leg to be, and then I'm going to draw with my brush using the tip slowly and carefully so it meets the edge. You want this to be a little bit thinner. Since this is a sea turtle, it has these like flippers for arms. If you're going to do the other turtle, you do little toes. I'm going to fill in here, smooth it out, and I'm going to do the same for the other side. Draw down and around, draw down and around, and I'm going to fill in that area. Then I'm going to do the back. Do my guideline. Now the back flippers point and curve toward the back near the tail. So these go toward the front, and these curve toward the back. I'm going to turn this so it helps me. Curve this toward the back. Oops. Curve this toward the back and bring it back to the body. Now you're going to fill in all these legs with the same body color. Look at my example up here. This is all filled in now with the same body color, and then my turtle shell has this color. I'm switching so you don't have to watch me fill in. But when you fill it in, get it nice and neat and smooth. Now the next step we're going to do is we want to get some eyeball details on our turtle. Let me show you on this student example. You first want or I'll actually just grab mine so you can see it better. You want to fill in, you want an eyeball color first. What color is your turtle's eye going to be? And I have red on my brush, so I'm just going to use red. So near the edge of the turtle, okay, almost toward the middle. Now I'm going to exaggerate these eyes to make it more artistic and so that the eyes will show up on my design. So I'm going to trace the edge carefully and draw a little semicircle right here on my edge. Now I'm going to let this dry before I add the black pupils on the inside and outline, okay? Now you want to think about what kind of pattern do you want on your turtle. And you can go ahead and add your pattern lines. using any color you'd like, but think about what's going to look good with your turtle's background color and what kind of pattern do you want. I'm just going to do a simple circle in the center, and I'm going to show you, you rest your hand for brush control if you want skinny, thin lines. And then you can also print with your brush too. I'll show you here. If I put a dot in the center, I can just press, 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 and I'm turning my brush like that. Now I can change values if I'd like. I'm going to just do a pressing pattern. Press, press, press. Oops, that's a little sloppy. Press. If it's a little sloppy, you can fix it. Come on back and take some of that off. Press. Now I'm going to turn my turtle so I can press it. Now you can either however you do your patterning, that's up to you. But you want the pattern to match the whole thing. So if I started this kind of dot pattern design, you want to continue it as you go around. You know, you can do some zigzags, curves, flower designs, etc. But what you don't want to do, friends, is you don't want to do say a black dot here or a black spot, some lines, some flowers, some zigzags, because it doesn't match. Whatever kind of pattern you start with, you want to continue. See how this has the same patterning design? This one, I have the same patterning coming around, and then this student will continue finishing the dots to finish the whole turtle. Some of these are not done. This student did the same patterning all around. Now, as this dries, I'm going to skip now so that you don't have to watch me do the patterning. You can hand do your texture on your, how do you want this turtle to feel? Is he going to be bumpy? Is he going to be rough? Is he going to be smooth? Is he going to be scaly? I'm just going to add some of these dots, tiny dots for texture. Another way of making really small dots is if you dip just the back end of your brush, it's kind of hard to see, into paint, you can get really tiny dots. That's another way of adding texture or pattern to your turtle. Now let me quickly finish. I'm going to show you how I finished my turtle's eyes. I'm going to use a nice small round thin brush, and this is a number 2 Princeton, and I'm going to very carefully, resting the palm on my table, I'm going to very carefully with control outline this eyeball. Now if you want to practice on another piece of paper getting nice thin skinny lines, practice first if you need to. Then I'm going to just press in the center, a little dot for a pupil. And I want that to be on the edge, oops, of my eye, right here. Just a little bit of a pupil. And if you make a mistake, transform your design. Let's see, I'm going to just outline the bottom now. And now I'm just going to give some little tiny air hole vents here for a nose. That's up to you if you want to add those vents. Now once you've done the turtle design, you can then work on some of your background, adding pattern or swirl. But one thing to do about your background, you want to make sure, let me show you some examples. You want to make sure that the water in the background, if you're going to make swirls, waves, you want to make sure that this water is lighter than your turtle. If you get too much dark lines in your turtle, the water in the background will distract from the turtle and patterns, because we've got a lot of pattern and design going on here. So if you keep your background nice and light with light values, a lot of tints, and a tint of color is a color that's mixed with white. So a lot of tints of color. Then you'll get a background that kind of just blends in, and then the turtle will be the main subject of your design. I hope that you have fun creating your own pattern turtle.